Okay, here's the thing about Irish car bombs. Nothing good ever happens after those. I don't know about you, but it's like once you do Irish car bombs, your night's over.
Once you do an Irish car bomb, your night gets started. That's where I'm at. Greetings and welcome to the Random University. As you can already see, this is a St. Patrick's Day episode because we started off talking about Irish car bombs, which coincidentally might end up being the name of the episode, which I'm not against at all because I have partaken in a lot of those over the years on all my St. Patty's Day celebrations.
Oh,
Now, in this episode, we're going to get into a little bit of kind of the history behind St. Patrick's Day, some of the myths about it, some of the things that were American traditions integrated into the holiday, which there's nothing wrong with that. We're America. We like to dominate everything. You know, we go everywhere in the world and we take it over. It makes sense to take holidays as well, and we make them our own, just like Cinco de Mayo.
right, obviously. Which
Right.
we're gonna have to do the Cinco de Mayo episode too. Which is like it's really not that big of a deal. But anyways, yeah, to us
Oh,
it is.
well, you know what the thing is? It's a reason to drink. That's why
Well, right, yeah.
everybody loves all these holidays because they're reasons to drink.
And to pretend that there's something they're not.
Exactly, because on St. Patrick's Day, everyone's Irish. Doesn't matter
I'm
what the background
I'm
is.
1/32nd Irish. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's great.
all right. What is that? Someone's pinky nail?
Right.
Makes no sense. But we all like to enjoy the holiday. We all like to go out drinking. Last year, we all got gypped because of the deadly coronavirus that screwed over the entire world for a year and took all of our holidays. But this year, I was actually I was in New Brunswick last night. For everybody who watches this who knows New Jersey, Ellie, this is by Rutgers.
Oh, okay. Isn't that in a bad area? I mean, I don't really.
New Brunswick is like split. It's like when you stay like by the college and everything, it's not really that bad of a place. It does have like a shittier area, but it's
I mean,
not.
that's also every city. Every city has a nice part and a shitty part. So I mean, you can't really say like it's a bad area, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, trust me, there's definitely a part of it. Like you probably shouldn't go walking at like 11 o'clock at night, but for the most part, it's a pretty good place. There's nothing wrong with it. But I was actually there yesterday because my dad, who is moving out to Montana in the beginning of May.
Ew.
Yeah. Well, he loves it. It's his thing. Him and his fiance are moving out there. They're really excited about it. So he was coming here. Pretty much like his side of the family, everyone got together and we just went out to eat. My grandfather actually died last year in April. So
I'm sorry to hear that.
we couldn't, thank you. We couldn't have obviously couldn't have like a funeral or anything. So we did it then, but we had to wait till now for everyone to kind of get together again so we could go out. So we got together at the cemetery and he was in the army. So they had like the flag folding ceremony and they played like the trumpet and all that stuff that they do. They had a priest there. He read another blessing. And then we went out to eat after that. But the place that we went out to eat next door, they have this big open courtyard. And as we were going in, it was probably 3:45. There was a band that was setting up. And I was like, wow, they're actually going to have like a St. Patrick's Day type party thing here. I'm really surprised that they're able to do that. I mean, yesterday was actually pretty nice. It wasn't that cold out. It was a little chilly. You needed to wear a coat, but it was still nice enough that you could be outside. And of course, when you put on a beer jacket,
beer blanket,
nothing's wrong then. So then when we came out after we got done eating, they had the band playing there and everything. It was all real loud and it's on one of the main streets. But I was really shocked that they were having like a St. Patty's Day party because obviously everything is still the way it is, minus Texas. You know, they could do whatever they want. They're their own country. But it was cool to see. And it was actually almost a little weird for a second because walking, like we haven't seen something like that in a year. And it's so crazy, all the things that you take for granted over time. like, oh, just St. Patty's, whatever. I'm not going to go out. I'm not going to do this.
It's in the
But
middle
like,
of the week.
yeah, to see it again, you're like, oh wow, that's so cool. I remember what it was like to party. You know, you
Wait, do you
legitimately,
remember outside?
yeah, like
Do you
getting
remember
together with
outside?
people at a bar outdoors, and we're able to be near each other. It's so crazy. It's mind blowing. But it was nice to see. But yeah, now that we could have all the things again, I guess, in like limited capacity, I suppose, or they have things outside, it's nice to celebrate again. But like I said, with this episode, I want to go over some of the little known facts about St. Patty's Day. So, Ellie, I'll let you start it off.
Okay, so we all pretty much have a general like idea of what we think it is. I want to say majority of people think it's he banished all the snakes from Ireland. That's my shitty Irish accent that literally came out of nowhere. I'm so sorry for that.
It was so accurate. That was so well done.
I know, right? But yeah, I also just wanted to say, yes, I have red hair. No, I'm not Irish. And this is also kind of why I sort of hate this time of the year, because people, if I go to any St. Patrick's Day thing, like, oh my God, are you Irish? Like, yeah, and like drunk people like, oh my God, is that your real red hair? Like, that's so fitting for the day. And it's like, oh, fuck. Actually, majority of redheads are in Scotland, not Ireland, believe it or not. But yeah.
Believe it.
I do want to go to there is a redhead convention. I think it's either in Ireland or Scotland. I do want to go to that and be like, my people. But anyways, so no, I'm serious. But although like that many gingers in
Not a soul in sight.
right? I know, right? But just to be really somber, sad music the whole time.
Yeah.
So anyway, so again, like I said, we're all probably familiar with the age-old tale at St. Patrick's Day, celebration of the Christian St. Patrick who got rid of all the snakes in Ireland. The tale goes as follows. So the patron saint, which is a patron saint, by the way, I had to look that up. It's a protecting or guiding saint of a person or place. So he's the patron saint of Ireland. Yay. So he chased all the slithering serpents into the sea after they started to attack him during a 40-day fast. He stood on top of a hillside in his formal attire. I don't know why that's important, but I guess that's important. He waved his staff and herded all the snakes into the ocean. See, now I'm just kind of like the logistics of snake herding. Like I'm trying to like wrap my mind around that.
Yeah, I really don't think you can control snakes. Snakes are one of like the few creatures I feel like that are like, fuck you, I'm gonna do what I want.
Right.
And like
Yeah.
we totally accept it because they're venomous, and if they bite you, it's not pleasant.
Right. And I mean, even if they're not, I still don't want to get bit by a snake, even if it's not like a venomous snake.
Yeah, not at all.
And that's the crazy thing too, is like snakes can swim. So it's like, okay, cool. You put them in the ocean, they can swim. But all right. Anyways, I don't know if you've ever seen a snake swim, but it's fucking disgusting. You ever seen a snake swimming?
Yes, I have. Whenever you go fishing, and then you see like the water moccasins. They're kind of
do you have water moccasins up there?
Yeah.
There's no way. It's too cold for them up there. Really?
Nah, they bury into they go into like a hole for the wintertime.
Oh, okay.
Summertime.
Okay, gotcha. I didn't know that they were that far north. Like, I mean, they're all over Louisiana. It's just like, ugh. Anyways, it's disgusting.
Hold on, little side story about a snake, though. I remember one time, for anybody who's watching this that's from the area over here, Central Jersey, especially Middlesex, there was a place called the Duck Pond where we always used to go. And
you guys go have sex there and take your little girlfriends?
All the time.
Knew it.
The spot. No, that was actually, the Duck Pond is like, it used to be a place where everybody like congregated at times. Especially in the wintertime when it froze, there was an island in the middle, right? And you could only get out there when the water froze. So what we used to do is during the wintertime, we would bring all the beer out to the middle of the island, because when the cops would roll up, you would see them coming first. So you could just kind of stash all the beer, and we had a hole. We put all the beer in the hole and cover it up. It was genius. And we'd be like, we're just skating out here. What are you going to do? Yeah. But anyway, what I was saying, though, there used to be this big ass snake by the waterfall area. And I remember one time I was fishing, because that's where, like, if anyone goes fishing, like, by a waterfall is where all the fish congregate, because that's where all the stuff gets dumped, all the food and everything like that from the rest of the pond or river.
Yeah, all the water's churning up and whatnot.
Yeah. So that's where they sit. So we'd be fishing over there, catching little sunnies, some catfish, carp from time to time. But there was a snake. We would always see it come out, and it was huge. I had to have been like 5.5 feet easily, right? So one time I caught a sunny, and I brought it over to the hole where the snake was, and I started dangling the sunny in front of him. And then you see him come
That's
out
great.
and takes it, but my line is still connected to the sunny. So I pull the snake out and grab it by the back of its head. And like,
Nope.
I couldn't have been more. I was maybe 13, maybe 12, 13. And at that point, it's like you don't know what to do with the snake. So you're just holding
it's like,
it. Yeah, and it's like it's one of those things. Like I have my thumb on the back of its head, like that, and like you don't even know what to do. So I'm like, how do I let this thing go? Because if I just kind of drop
Throw
it
it.
down, it's definitely gonna bite me. But I was thinking,
Throw it.
what if you threw it and it like whipped back like a whip, and like as I threw it, it used its tail and just went bop right on my arm. So I ended up I grabbed the back end of it and I like push pressed it into the
Poor animal.
water. It was terrifying, but he still had the fish in his mouth the whole time.
That poor
But anyway,
animal.
go on with what you're
how you didn't
saying.
give it a heart attack. Okay, so upon further research, the likelihood of this actually being true is slim to none. So while yes, Ireland is snake free, it's not because of St. Patrick. Sorry, guys. According to Nigel Monaghan, who's the keeper of natural history at the National Museum of Ireland in Dublin, who has combed through collections upon collections of fossil records of Irish animals, he's found no solid evidence of snakes ever existing on the island. And at no time had there ever been any suggestions of snakes in Ireland. And so basically there was nothing for him to actually banish. So the snake thing, not true. Sorry.
It was totally the whole basis of this holiday is 100% made up.
Sort of. We're going to get into that in a little bit. But the general consensus now is that snakes are actually a metaphor for pagans at the time, and St. Patrick actually got rid of all the infidel Gentile pagans, thus bringing Christianity to Ireland. You know, those kooky I almost said penguins. They're kind of kooky
penguins.
Yeah, those pagans can't have those pagans running around. So yeah, it's thinking that maybe like old ancient text was like translated wrong, and then it's like, oh wait, who was actually here during this time? It's like the pagans. So
or people just twisted the facts to make it fit their narrative.
Right.
That never happens ever.
No. But as for why it doesn't really why snakes were probably never in Ireland, if you look at its latitude, it's too far north. It's too cold. Yeah. Snakes are not going to be somewhere where it's cold all the time. So, I mean, it's like from
there.
Right. So like from a biological standpoint, it's like, yeah, a snake's not going to survive there, which is why you don't have like big ass snakes up north by you guys. Like you're not going to have a python in New Jersey or Minnesota. It's just not going to happen.
You'd be surprised what you find out here. There's definitely rattlesnakes. There's definitely copperheads.
Right. But I'm talking like a big ass Burmese python is not going to survive up there.
I don't know.
Unless someone set it loose, of which people are really bad about just setting animals loose too. So there very well could be one roaming the forest of New Jersey, but this cold honestly probably killed it because they're very heat sensitive or cold sensitive. All right. So who was St. Patrick? So he was born in Roman Britain in the 4th century, and he was actually he's not even Irish actually.
He's British, right?
Yeah. And he was actually kidnapped at 16 and brought to Ireland as a slave.
Yo, how do you get kidnapped at 16 years old?
How do you live to 16 years old in the 4th century anyways? Like, I feel like that's 100 for back then.
Yeah, right. They only lived till like, what, 23? If that.
I don't know.
Yeah, he was like middle-aged at the time.
Right. A middle-aged slave.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of a mixed bag on whether or not he escaped or was set free. It kind of depends on the source. One of those two. Also, he never mentioned a shamrock. We'll get to that in a little bit too. And believe it or not, blue was actually the old color of Ireland, not green. So blue was like woven into all their royalty. But, you know, rightfully so, the Irish are not too keen on the British. So then obviously that did eventually change because it's like, fuck you, England, which, can't buy them. But anyways, so he was also never canonized by the Pope, meaning that he was never actually given like formal recognition of being a saint. although he's talked about and called St. Patrick. But as far as like legitimacy of him being a saint, not really. So it's kind of just like,
how does one even go about becoming a saint? Like, is it the same way?
I'm assuming a lot of prayer.
It has to be, right?
A lot of prayer and repenting. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't look into that, but that's a good question.
You dedicate your service to the church in some way? Like, I don't know.
Which that's great if you want to do that. Yeah, I think you have to have like some sort of big impact, but I don't know. So, okay, so what it originally was and what it has become. So originally March 17th actually marks the death of the patron saint, St. Patrick, and for over thousands of years, it has been celebrated as a religious feast day, believe it or not. So St. Patrick is obviously a very big deal to Irish Catholics since he was the person to bring Christianity to the country and say, fuck you pagans, get out. Or the snakes, whatever you want to call them. So it wasn't until the 16th century, Luke Whiting, I don't know what it is. Anyways, he placed it on the Catholic Church's calendar. And then from that day on, it has been a holy day of obligation for Catholics, i.e. get your ass to mass. So up to the 1700s, St. Patrick's Day was really only celebrated in Ireland. And it was actually a pretty melancholic, somber day that just consisted of a lot of prayer. So imagine Christmas Mass, but for the whole day.
Oh my God.
Right. Yeah. Which when you put it in that perspective, it's like, no thanks. It's like, I'd rather die. I'll just kill myself and put my corpse in.
When I was a little kid, I mean, who doesn't love holidays as a kid? Easter, Christmas. But I always dreaded having to go to church those days. Absolutely dreaded it. Because of how long it was. I remember we used to go, sometimes my dad would be like, oh, let's go to the night before so we don't have to go on the actual day. Oh, what a mistake. Every time it's like 2.5 hours.
Night Mass is even longer.
Oh my God. How could you say the same thing over and over and over again? It's just, all right, we got it. Let's move on. I'm here for
Right, yeah. Right. I'm really only here for the snacks after the service, but okay. And the wafers, whatever. But yeah, so just imagine just an ongoing Christmas Mass for the whole day.
Oh my God.
I would shoot myself and then just put my body in the confession chamber and, hopefully I'll be forgiven. I don't know. So it wasn't until 19... Yes. Blow your brains out in church and then have someone put your dead corpse in a confessional chamber. Yeah, for sure. And then have the priest bless you and then banish you to hell, but that's okay. Anyway, so it wasn't until 1903 that Parliament member James O'Mara actually introduced the Bank Holiday Act, and he's also responsible for the law that required pubs to close on March 17th. So there's just also a Prohibition Day too. Yeah. Yeah.
Wait a minute.
So it's
they made them close the bars on March 17th. Maybe that's why. Okay, I'm going to let you keep going. Putting things together.
So pubs were closed. It was not a day for debauchery and drinking like it is now. And it wasn't until the 70s that the ban on drinking was lifted, and typical Irish family would attend Mass in the morning, and then the afternoon would be filled with celebrations, dancing, etc. And allegedly, the whole reason where the shamrock came into play is that it represents the Irish Holy Trinity. So, like the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. So that's I think that's more of a modern Irish symbol, because shamrocks literally grow all over Europe. I mean, we have them here in the US. I think
I've never found one though. I
don't think anyone's ever found a 4-leaf clover, but you can. I mean, I've got a purple shamrock back there, which is actually really cool. But I mean, shamrocks and clovers literally grow everywhere. I think the Irish are just like, oh, we're taking this, we're going to put the Irish Catholic stamp on it and call it ours. And it's like, okay, cool, whatever, take it.
Yeah.
So as for what it's become now, so how it's celebrated today, well, again, it's actually an Irish-American construct and is now a celebration of Irish pride, so pretty cool. The first official parade, it was in New York in 1848, believe it or not. And from around, I'm sure you probably knew that, being so close. But from around the 18th century and onwards, some Irish people began using the holiday as a means of promoting Irish culture and tradition. And then the White House Shamrock ceremony only started in 1952 when an ambassador from Ireland actually came over and started it himself. So this is actually still pretty new. And then in cities with a lot of Irish immigrants, to this day. So obviously, Boston, New York, Philly, Chicago, it's a much bigger deal. They dye the Chicago River green. I know there's parades and stuff. I mean, even in Louisiana, which is it's more of an Italian area, but they're Irish there too. But they do parades and whatnot for it. And yeah, so that's what St. Patrick's Day has turned into. It's just more of an Irish pride and ethnic pride day as of now. But it used to not be.
That's what it is. Binge drinking. That's what it's all about. I remember, what was it? 2 years ago? Might have been 2 years ago. My timeline might be wrong. As you get older, you can't. I'll say this. From 2007 until 2012, that's all 1 year for me. You asked me something that happened in that time frame. I'm like, it was somewhere
5-year period.
Yeah, it was somewhere in that mess of time. But I'm going to, just for sake of argument, 2 years ago, we went to Chicago for St. Patty's
See, that's on my list. I want to do that. And I go to Chicago all the time. I still have not been for that.
And you haven't been there for St. Patty's?
No.
Oh my God, you got to go.
I know.
Actually, you know what?
We should all go next year.
I would do it. I would go back there for it. It's a good time. You know what it is? I'll tell you what we did. So it was for the jerk's bachelor party because that's what he wanted to do. So going to Chicago is not that expensive. His brother actually lives there, so he kind of knows like the lay of the city, more or less.
Yeah, Chicago's a great city too.
Yeah, so he like put everything together. So we had got there 2 days before St. Patty's Day, but on St. Patty's Day he had like a bar crawl that he set up for us, and they have like trolleys that go around, right? Like buses and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So it was awesome. They take you to 5 different bars. You don't have to wait in the lines to get in, which is huge because all the lines everywhere are insane.
Well, they just wrap around the building. Yeah.
No, wrap around the building's not even like, that's an understatement of what it is. Picture like, you've obviously been to sporting events, right? So when everybody's trying to get in to the ticket.
Yes.
That's what it is in Chicago for St. Patty's. All trying to get into one door where there's one bouncer checking everyone's IDs as they walk in, right? And obviously most places are at capacity. But when we were on this trolley for this bar crawl, we had like a fast pass type thing where it was like we pulled up and they had an agreement with the bar or whatever. So we were able to get out and like walk past the people in line and be like, like that, and like walk straight into the bar, which was awesome. The only drawback was they didn't give us a long time at each one of the bars. Like it was like an hour and a half. I mean, I think the whole thing started at 7 a.m. So we were at the first bar and we were by Wrigley Field at 7 a.m, which it was like literally like you went out on the back deck of this bar and Wrigley Field was right there. Like you just right on the back of it. It was really, really cool. And that was like,
and that's such a pretty park too.
Yeah. And like the thing that sucked was that ended up being like, after we went to the rest of the bars, that was one of the best places, like where we started the whole day out.
Right.
But then there's some ridiculous things that happened all along the day. But then when we went to the next bar, I'm going to tell you a funny thing about Scott. So on this trolley, like I think there was 9 of us. And plus, I mean, everyone else that was on this trolley too, like everyone else who paid for the $60. And like the best thing about this was the trolley, they supplied you with beer and Jameson on the trolley.
Oh God.
How ridiculous.
So this drunk trolley.
Right? Oh my God, it was amazing. So I'm sitting there and I have like a big bottle of Jameson and I'm just drinking straight from it.
Oh.
Everyone's passing around, how we used to live before COVID.
Yeah.
But, so we're passing it around and like, it's so crazy jam-packed with people and traffic in Chicago and St. Patty's Day. The worst thing is driving. So we were going.
I mean, just driving in Chicago in general sucks.
Oh, yeah.
Ugh.
But St. Patty's Day makes it that much worse.
Yeah, I don't even know why you would go into the city, to be honest. If you don't live in the city, I would be like, forget it.
No, not unless you're going to walk around. But so we're on the trolley, and like I said, traffic is moving very slow. So at one point we got stuck over the bridge that had the river where it's dicey,
Yeah.
and like
Mhm.
it is
Oh, you
just
guys you were way down then. If you're
yeah,
up by Wrigley and then you're all the way on at that bridge, wow.
yeah. We're all. I mean, the 5 bars that they took us to were really like all over the place. Like it wasn't like in a
Okay.
straight line. Like they were really spread out.
Okay.
So it kind of give you
Okay.
like a tour of like the city
Yeah,
kind
so you got to see
of way.
Chicago. That's cool.
Yeah. And you could drink on the trolley thing that we're on. But because traffic was moving so slow, somebody had to go to the bathroom really, really bad. Scott
You better hold it.
Scott couldn't get up because of how bad he had to go. And like we're all messing with him. And we're all like, here, drink more, drink more. So we finally get to the bar. And I'm talking like he when we first got in the bus, he was like, oh, I should have peed before we left. And I was like, you just go at the next place. I'm sure we'll be there kind of quick. And
Wrong.
about a 40-minute ride later, that we only went like half a mile. He's sitting there and he's like, I gotta go. And I'm handing him like handed him like a Bud Light can, and I'm like, dude, just piss in this. Nobody's gonna look. Nobody cares. And he's like, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. And I'm like, dude, just lean up against the side of the thing. Just pee in the can. You'll be fine. He's like, I can't. So we finally, like I said, we finally get to the place like 40 minutes later, and like everybody on the bus is just screaming and we're drinking, and it's just craziness, right? And as soon as the guy opens the door to the trolley, you see Scott literally sprint off and run down the street, and he's trying to find a place that he can go in to go to the bathroom. And now, like most places, you can't like a Dunkin'
You
Donuts.
just walk in.
Exactly. Well, they prevent all that stuff. Like they have only like you have to buy something in order to use the bathroom.
Yeah.
So you see him run inside of Dunkin' Donuts, and he comes running out like 30 seconds later because they won't give him the key. He goes running into the bar that we're going to go in, and there's still a line of people just from our bus that are trying to get into the bar. And he's like literally hunched over. He's got to go so bad. And we're all just laughing at him because, we're all friends, but we don't support each other when it comes to those things.
No, you're on your own.
Yeah, so he finally gets into the bar, goes to the bathroom, he comes out. I was like, how close were you to piss in your pants? And he was like, I was almost right there considering it. I was just gonna let it happen. I was like, that would have been such a mistake.
Oh, yeah, no, then you're just pissy pants all day. No thanks. Hard no.
Yeah, but
Oh, God.
Chicago is definitely great for St. Patty's Day. Just
Yeah, we're going next year. Put it on your calendar.
Have a plan for it because it gets so crazy. Like
Rachel strikes me as a planner.
I think
I know she's
pissing in the street was like $1,000 fine or something like that.
Oh, yeah, no, Chicago's a really clean city. You're not pissing in the street there. It's not New York. You will not piss on that. You will not piss in that city.
Which is funny because we did also go to New York one time for St. Patty's. There was once, around here, there's a lot of different towns have a lot of different celebrations for St. Patty's, and they spread them out. So, like, the whole month of March in New Jersey, and I guess you could say New York, not really New York, but more New Jersey, they have every single weekend, every Saturday is a St. Patty's Day thing. So the way it worked out is we would go to St. Patty's Day in Hoboken. That was always the first Saturday of March. And that would be us taking a train out there at like 6:30 in the morning. You get stamped at one of the bars, and like you can go in and out of that bar all day, but you had to get there before they opened, because once they opened, I think it was like, not even that, every half hour the cover charge went up $10. So like,
Ooh!
And that was when they opened. I'm pretty sure all the bars opened at 9. So we would be in line at 8:00, like waiting to get in. We would get in, get the stamp, and then leave, because I can go back to that one whenever I want. So the whole point was to get as many stamps as you can.
Right.
So you can go in all the bars at any time. And when they would open, it would be like $5 for the cover charge. But like I said, every like half hour, they'd raise it $10. I mean, you go back at noon and it's $45 to get in. And you're like, no way.
I'm not.
So,
no.
Yeah,
Forget you. No.
Hoboken was always fun. And then the following weekend would be Morristown. Morristown was always a good time. Not as crowded, a little bit more low key, but it was still a really good time. A lot of people, but not crazy like Hoboken was. And then obviously the 17th is New York City, where they would have the parade and everything and all the bars. But I forget what year it was, but there was one magical year where St. Patty's Day fell on a Saturday. And it was,
God.
we had Hoboken, Morristown, and then New York City. And it was funny too, because usually we have a big group of friends. So like everybody would go. Everybody went to the Hoboken one. We lost a couple for the Morristown one. And then for the New York one, I think it was like 4 of us. But it actually worked out that it was a really crazy day, because in New York, there's no like, it's such a big city. There's no set pattern to walk around in. So it's
no.
You just walk down the street and you're like, all right, let's go in here. It looks whatever's cheapest, because
This looks kind of fun.
Yeah, obviously. Well, this is the thing. We could make any place fun, but it's the whole thing, like, I'm not spending $10 a beer. Like, that's not happening.
Fuck no. No, for a Bud Light, no.
No. It's just especially like Bud Light, Coors Light. I'm not giving you $10 for one of those. So I don't give a shit if it's some hole in the wall place. As long as beers are like $2-3, I'm there all day, and we will make this a good time. We will have fun here no matter what, because beer's cheap, right? But like, we wandered around New York City pretty much until like night, and then just so many. That was such a fun like that year where they all fell on the Saturdays like that. It was so perfect. Never happened again.
That's great. Of course, yeah. No, never again. Never again. So when you couldn't, because your time was limited at each bar, was it hard to pick up chicks then?
I don't think everybody was either married or getting married or had a significant other. So it was like, it was actually, believe it or not, it was a really fun time, because I think sometimes when you take that away and you don't, you're like, I'm not worried about like my night being dictated by like if I hooked up with someone, like you don't give a shit. You're just like, okay, we're here to party. Like that's all it is.
Yeah.
And oh my God, I'm gonna tell you a really funny story about what happened to us in Chicago. So
excellent.
Our friend who was getting married. This I'm just gonna for everybody out there, anybody who's watching this right now. This story involves some bad things, but I can say it all. You can hear it here. So our friend that was getting married, his brother had set up all the places like the days before St. Patty's Day that we were going to go hang out, because there was at the time March Madness was going on, and what was it? Loyola, which is in Chicago, was making that
course there.
Yeah, so that was the
it was that year where Loyola was good for like 2 seconds. Oh fuck!
So, everywhere, anywhere
friends that went there too.
That place, I mean, those people they loved it there, like with them being good. So like when we would go places and they would be playing, like it would be awesome, But like regardless, it's still college basketball. It's March Madness. It's exciting. So his brother kind of took us to like some bougie bars, like where we walked in and Bud Lights were like $12. And we were like, oh my God, this is fucking killing us. We want to have a good time, but at the same time, like we don't have to be at a place where we're spending all sorts of money. So
at that point, get a Long Island shit.
Yeah. So me and the jerk go outside, and I bring up my MapQuest, and I'm like, there's got to be a bar close.
How old are you?
MapQuest. Well, no. The only reason I brought up MapQuest is because they have a tab on it where it lets you look for specific things like grocery shopping, gas station, bank, and there were bars on there. So I was like, let me just open it up, see where we're at. I'll just click the bars thing to try to find a bar. Because if you know anything about, what do we call them? Shitty bars? The real hole in the wall places?
The real dives?
The best places, okay? I like to refer to them as the best places because that's where the most fun happens. And everything is the cheapest there. So if you ever need to find one of those, for everybody out there watching, always look for pub, tavern, or old in before the name. Those will always be your money bars. The beer is cheap. There are crazy people in there. You will have the best time of your life in those places. It's not going to be nice. Shit's going to be a mess. The floor is going to be gross. The bathroom is going to smell like straight
Yeah,
piss. But you
yeah,
will
don't.
have the
Yeah, you
best.
can't be wearing shit that you like. Absolutely not.
You will
No.
have it, but you will have the best time of your life at those bars. So I'm looking and I see it was like Old Chicago Pub, and I go, it's old
That's
spelled
the one.
OLDE
That's the
Chicago
one.
Pub. I go, that's where we're going. I go, it's not even 300 feet from here. And I go walk down the street a little bit and I find it. And it's like, it's this shitty looking place. And I'm like, this is where we need to be. So me and the jerk walk in, and the bartender comes over and she's like, what can I get you? I'm like, I go, give me 2 Guinnesses. So she gives it, doesn't ask us for money. First off, I go, that's check number 1. She passed the first one. She didn't even ask for a card. She didn't ask for money. She didn't even tell us a total. She just assumed we were going to hang out here. I like that already, right? When she did finally come back over, I get us 2 shots of Jameson. So we take them. And I go to her, hey, could you tell me how much all of this is? And she goes, oh, well, you got the most expensive beer. And I'm like, oh, come on with this. Don't tell me that.
Yeah. It's
And
like $50
she goes, $9. And I go, wait,
total.
for 2 beers and 2 shots of Jameson? And she goes, well, yeah. And I go, here's $20.
Keep
Don't
it.
worry. I'm going to have this place filled up in 15 minutes. You're going to make a lot of money today. So we call everyone, walk down the street, leave that fucking place, come down here right now. So everyone comes down there. And like I said, we can take a dive bar with cheap beer and make it a party. They had one of those, where you put the money in to put, not a jukebox, but like the digital thing where you put
Like
a
touch
dollar in.
tunes or whatever.
Yeah, and you get like 5 songs or whatever. So we just put in like $50 so we can control the thing all night.
You
And
assholes.
we put on like all our music. So we had like
Of course
Kesha,
you did.
Backstreet Boys, In Sync, and we're
I
just
can just see Scott sitting there for like an hour, like setting a playlist. Yeah.
yes, it was fantastic, right? So now let's get into the crazy thing that happened, right? So
Yes.
I'm sitting around and I'm kind of like, I'm not drunk, but like, when you day drink all day and you start getting tired and you're like, oh man, I
Yeah,
need
and you're
something.
just like, oh fuck.
I don't
Yeah, you're
need
just over it. I'm like, I'm done. I'm done. I'm tapping out. I'm out.
not
I'm
even
out.
like I'm tapping out. I'm like, I want to keep going, but I know if I keep drinking, I'm gonna get to a place that I don't want to be at. And I know if I stop drinking, I'm gonna start to get a headache. I'm just not gonna have a fun night. I'm gonna want to go back to a hotel and go to sleep. I'm like, I need something to level me out. The thing that levels me out all the time is weed. Now, if I smoke, not a lot, just a little bit, it kind of evens the playing field, and it's like when you take an etch a sketch and you just shake it, and you're like, oh, okay, here we go, we're reset, right? So we had made friends with a couple people that were in there. Oh, also, side note, there was only when me and Cronin walked into this bar, there was only one guy sitting in there at the time. We ended up talking to him, and he ended up being from the town that was right next to us where we grew up. Like that's where he was from, Greenbrook, New Jersey, like in Chicago, in this little busted ass pub. Crazy. So we talked to him for a while about things around here because he knew everywhere around here. So we'd made other friends in the bar and we're hanging out for a little while. And like I said, I'm like fading in and out. I'm like, oh God, I need like a pick me up, right? So there's this couple that's next to us, and they had to have been like the same age as us, I think. And I say to the guy, or no, I'm talking to the girl, his girlfriend or whatever, and I say to her, I'm like, hey, do you know you guys are from around here, right? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, do you guys know, where you can get weed at around here? And she's like, oh, my boyfriend could get it for you. And I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Cool.
Right. So he's sitting right there, and I don't remember the guy's name. And I was like, hey, man, she said you can get weed. And I was like, can you, do you have any on you? Could you get someone down here or something? And he was like, oh, yeah, no problem, bro. And I'm like, all right, cool. So then he gets on the phone and he's like, how much do you want? And I was like, oh, just like a 20. Right. And he's like, all right, no problem. No problem. I'll get that for you. So like time just starts going by. It's like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour. And he's just kind of sitting around. And I was like, hey, man, you said the guy was going to be here in like 5 minutes. It's been like 40 minutes. And he's like, oh, yeah, I'm still waiting on him. And his phone starts ringing and he picks up the phone and he was like, oh, okay, man, I'll let him know. So he turns to me and he goes, the guy said he can't get that much. And I was like, wait, what?
What kind of dealer are you?
He goes, he can get you an ounce. And I go, wait a minute. I told you a gram. I don't need an ounce. I go, I'm only here for a couple of days, man. And he's like, yeah, I'm sorry. He couldn't get all that. And I was like dumbfounded. I'm just staring at him like I'm so confused about what's happening.
What?
And then I say to him again, I was like, why don't you tell him to take the ounce, measure out a gram, bring that here for you. And I go, I'll give you $40 to get it. So you make 20. And he goes, nah, man, he just can't handle that much.
Wait, an ounce is more than a gram. Okay, whatever.
So,
No.
yeah, so our friend Ralph was sitting next to me and I turned to him and I was like, are you hearing what's happening here? And he's like, yeah, I'm really confused. And I was like, so am I. So then the guy's like, all right, I'll try to talk to him, man. So like 10 minutes goes by and I'm just like, all right, man, whatever. So I'm like, don't even worry about it. I'll figure out some other way. So then he's like, nah, man, and he's real drunk too. And he's like, oh, I really let you down, this and that. And like the weirdest thing is like his girlfriend is like touching me, like has her hand on me, like when somebody's next to you and it's like, oh, that's just a person that's standing next to me. But like when they're like trying to like get with you, I guess.
No,
or like it's very uncomfortable. You feel it, the energy. And I'm like, I'm like, this is so uncomfortable. I'm like, she's like kind of like trying to feel up on me and like I'm like, yo, her dude is right there. I'm like, this is the weirdest thing, right? So he's like, oh man, I feel real bad. I couldn't help you out. I told you I could help you out. He was like, I can't get you the weed. But then he goes into his pocket. He goes, I can give you this though. And he opens up his hand and he's got like 20 little baggies of Coke. And I'm like, nah, man. I go, nah, man, I'm good.
Wait, what?
Right? And I'm like, wait a minute. And I say to him, I'm like, dude, put all that shit away. And he's like, what? It's cool. And he has his hand wide open with all these tiny little baggies. I'm like, bro, close your hand, put it back in your pocket. I go, let's go into the bathroom. Right? So we go into the bathroom and he pulls it out again, not his dick. So he pulls all the Coke out again. And I'm like, dude, I don't want that. Like, I don't do it. Right? And I was like, so you mean to tell me you're walking around with this amount of Coke on you, but you can't get weed? And he's like, nah, it's just so much harder to come by. And I was like, I feel like I'm living in a Twilight Zone right now. This is the weirdest thing. Weed's the most common thing you could find anywhere. I mean, I felt like I would if I wanted to get Coke, I would have to like really go digging for that somewhere.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know where to start. Like, I honestly wouldn't. I mean,
the thing is with Coke, it's like that's not something that you could just ask someone. Like, you could ask someone for weed, and they would be like, "Nah, man, I'm sorry."
I feel like Coke, you kind of have to like plan. You're kind of like planning to do it, so you kind of like get it in advance. Yeah. So that's weird.
Like, all right. After. And like I was still drinking all this time and like having fun and everything, but this was like a 3-hour ordeal. And
that's fucking. It's also like you had that shit the whole time. Like, why is it just now occurring to you to be like, oh, I have this by the way, in case that doesn't come through.
Right.
I mean, not that you would do the Coke, but I mean, it's like you, motherfucker, you have probably 2 grams worth of Coke in your pockets.
Probably more. I mean, he had they were like little baggies like this, and they were just all sitting in his hand. But it was like, but then the weirder.
He just holds him out too, like, hey, here's my Coke.
Yeah, but then the weirder thing is, right? We're still in the bathroom, and after I tell him, nah, I don't want the Coke. I'm not going to get that. I don't do it. I've never done it. I don't want to do it. So I was just like, whatever.
And then Coke from somebody you don't know, that just sounds like a really bad idea.
I'm not doing any of that. I want no business with that. So we're still in the bathroom, and he put all the shit back in his pocket, and he's like, "So what do you think of my girl?" And I was like, in what way?
And what she's not. She seems like a nice lady. I don't. What do you
Right?
want?
I was like, "Oh, she's pretty cool, man." And he was like, "Think she's hot?" And I was like,
Oh, what?
I was like,
Who
dude,
asks that?
right? I was like, dude, I'm not gonna lie to you, like, this is a little bit awkward. And he was like, nah, he's like, we're dudes, we're cool, we've been hanging out all day.
No.
He's like, I'm just asking you a question, right? So then,
this is a loaded question.
yeah. So I say, well, that's what I would think at first, because see, if you're from the East or West Coast, you're kind of wise to like things like that. But I feel like once you get into the middle of the country, like those people are a little bit more, not, they don't have an agenda behind asking something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but who asks that? I mean, would you ever go up to someone and be like, "Hey, do you think my wife's hot?"
You want to bang her?
Yeah. Hey, do you want to have sex with my wife? Dude, what?
So then listen to this.
How did you not just walk away? I probably would just be like, no, something's up with you two. I'm out.
I was also drunk, so I was like, I want to see where this goes. I want to see what this guy is talking about. Look, a guy that I asked if he could get weed told me he couldn't get a gram, but he can get me an ounce, and then instead tried to substitute coke that he was carrying with him with no right. So I was like, I gotta see where this leads to. Right.
That's fair.
I go, I'm already this far down the rabbit hole. I want to see the other side. Right. So I was like, let me humor him. Right. I go, yeah, man, she's pretty hot. And he's like, yeah, I'm so lucky I'm with her. I was like, yeah, man, that's cool.
Yeah, cool.
Right.
That's
so I was like, I'm at this point, he's peeing in one of the stalls, and I'm like trying to get out the door. So I'm trying not to be an asshole and just like walk out while he's still talking. But it's like one of those situations
like
where
I don't care.
Yeah. Like I have my hand on the door and I keep pulling it, and it's like, I told you it's a shitty place. So the door's like, and like he's still talking. So I'm like halfway out the door. So I finally get out the door, and like his girl is waiting right by the door.
No.
And as I walk out, she's like right in my face. She's right in my face, and she goes, "Did he talk to you?" And I was like, "Well, did he talk to me about what?" And she goes, "About fucking me." And I was like, "What?"
No, I thought this was gonna go there, but I was like, "This is not." I was like, "That's not gonna happen." Like part of me was like, they're trying to like swing or have some kind of threesome or whatever. I was like, no, this isn't happening.
She goes to me, she was like, yeah, he said he was going to talk to you because we would film it. And I was like, oh my God.
Is she serious? Are they serious?
Oh, 100% serious. This was not a joke. But I was just like, what the fuck? Where am I?
Like that's something out of a movie. That doesn't happen in real life.
Oh, it did. It only happens at a shitty bar. That's where that shit happens.
Oh my God.
So that was my time in Chicago.
Well, it sounds like we need to. Well, we're going back next year, so rally the troops because we're all going next year.
Oh, I'm 100% in for that trip. I don't care if anyone else doesn't want to go. First off, flying to Chicago from New Jersey is super cheap.
What is it, like an hour flight? Anyways, like an hour and a half.
I think it's an hour and a half. I think it was an hour and a half, but I mean, it was only like $180 round trip.
Yeah, okay.
That's ridiculously cheap. I would spend.
You got to fly into Midway though. Did you fly into O'Hare? I hope you didn't fly into O'Hare.
Yeah, we did.
No, Midway. Because O'Hare's just a fucking mess. It's just a clusterfuck. No, Midway is the way to go.
It was a nice airport, though.
It is a nice airport, but it's a fucking mess.
Maybe I'll try the other one next time for our trip next year.
Yes. So Rachel, I saw her sit down in the background. Rachel, I'll put it on your calendar.
Oh, I don't know if she can hang.
She'll be fine.
That'd be rough. I don't know if I could hang anymore.
Oh fuck yeah, we might have to do a half day thing. Like if we're getting there at 7 a.m, I'm gonna be done by like 1 o'clock.
No, but you know what? I definitely could hang. I think, but it's not. It's like one of those things. Like I might get 2 of those a year. You know what I'm saying? Like I could go out for a St. Patty's Day, but I need to I'm not going to do anything again until 4th of July, like day drinking like that. I can't.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely not. No, and my husband and I were just talking like I used to pound beer in college, and now it's like, oh, one and done. Good, have a good night, everyone. Like, it's 8 o'clock. I'm gonna go home now.
We used to, before we would go out anywhere, we used to go to someone's house, like whoever was like, oh,
pregame.
Yeah, everybody meet here. Let's pregame. And I'm talking like we would either kill a bottle of alcohol, like a big bottle of alcohol. We would get like Bacardi Raz or something like that. Yeah, garbage. Or we would all kill like 12 Bush Lights each. Don't you ever laugh at Bush Light? It's one of the great beers.
Oh my God. It's just brown sparkling water.
One day, Bush Light sponsors this podcast. I could not ask for anything more.
Oh my God, you're like my friend from Wisconsin. She likes Bush, and I thought she was kidding, and she showed up with like a 24 rack of Bush. I was like, I thought you were kidding. You actually brought I was like, we're not in college anymore. You actually brought Bush to my house. And she's like, yeah, I told you.
Like if I go out to a bar and I see that they have Bush in cans or on tap, I will 100% get that.
Who the fuck has Bush on tap?
You'd be surprised. White trash bars. They all. It's Bush. Listen, Bush is a great beer. Bush Light is a fantastic beer. It's easy drinking.
Because it's sparkling water.
It's great. That's the thing. It's great for day drinking because you could just pound those all day and you will never get too banged up. It's when you switch over to like a heavier beer, Bud Light will fuck you up. Bud Light gives you a bad hangover too, like a bad headache hangover. Bush Light has never given me a bad hangover in my life. Always been number one. Bush Light, if you're listening, I love you. If you want to sponsor this podcast, you absolutely can.
You heard it here first, Bush Light. I'll allow it. I'll allow it. If Bush Light wants to do it, I'll allow it.
Yes.
I mean, it's a recognizable name. Everyone knows Bush beer, so I mean.
Exactly. It's a fantastic beer. Like I said, easy drinking. Do it all day. Nothing wrong with it.
Every underage high school party.
They came out with a Bush Light apple, but they don't sell it in New Jersey. It's a red can. It's awesome. I've called liquor stores in Pennsylvania to try to get it, but nobody has ever had it. Nobody has it in stock ever. So disappointing.
Didn't even know you really are a Bush fan. Wow, I didn't even. So then what happened? What happened after she said, "Well, do you want to fuck?"
Oh no!
What happened after that?
It was actually perfect timing because I forget the name of the place that we were going. It was like it had to have been like 11 o'clock at night at that point, maybe a little bit earlier, maybe like 10. But
I'm ready to go home.
Well, we were all like, "Let's go get pizza," because it's our first time to Chicago, so we got to go get Chicago.
Ooh, did you go to Giordano's? I hope you didn't go to Giordano's.
I don't know. I can't tell. I can't remember the name of the place that we went. I know that we stood in line outside. It was like they had like hockey jerseys and stuff all over the walls. It was definitely an old ass place. It wasn't like a newish place.
No, Giordano's it's like a local chain.
I wish I knew the name of it. All I know is we got in the Uber and we said, take us to like the famous pizza place for Chicago. Like what's the most, like it's been here the longest. This is where everyone goes, even if it's a touristy thing, whatever. Right. And I know that he took us to this place and like just having that pizza. I mean, it's amazing. I did enjoy it a lot, but it's like cake. Like it's absurd.
Yeah, it's very doughy.
Yeah. But you have to eat it with a fork and knife. Like you can't hold it. First off, it was so excruciatingly hot when they took it out. Like the most painful thing. I burned my mouth immediately, like singed everything in my mouth. And I remember, we got like, because it was our first time there, we don't know how much to get. Nobody knows like, oh, I can only eat one slice.
No, you got too much.
There were 5 of us. We got 3 pizzas.
Are you stupid?
Oh, we had no idea. Because you all right, look, We have been drinking all day. I think the only thing we ate was like, I don't know, a sandwich at like 12 o'clock. And here it's 10 o'clock at night where we've been doing nothing but drinking the whole day. So everyone's starving. So it's like, oh, how much could you eat? How much could you eat? I'll eat. I don't give a shit. I'll have like probably 4 or 5 slices.
You're thinking like New York slices, like.
Exactly. So then they bring out the pizzas finally, and like you have to like dig into this thing and like put it
I
on
think
the
the cake cutter for that shit.
So the shit is like that thick, and I'm like, are you serious? It's really this much? And I remember biting into it, and it was so good, but we ended up taking all of it home. So then the hotel we were staying in, there had to have been, it was like one of the older hotels in Chicago, and there was either some sort of mold problem in this place. Everybody woke up with like a cough, like nobody could breathe. And then when you would go outside, like you felt everything like go away. It was so bad. So the next morning when we woke up, because we brought all the pizza home, I remember like I opened my eyes and I'm sleeping in. We only have, I think we got like 2 or 3 rooms, but like there's only 2 beds in the room, so like everybody's sharing pretty much. I don't even remember who slept next to me, but I woke up and I went over to like all the little styrofoam things, and I like picked up one of the pieces of pizza, and I was like, I wonder how good this is the next day.
You didn't put it in the fridge. It's not going to be good.
No.
It's only good reheated.
But I ate the whole thing because of drunk, like just being hungover. Like I need something right now. So anybody, if you go to Chicago, don't think that you could eat a whole pie by yourself, because it will not happen. You'll have one slice. You'll want to call it a night after that. Just get one, and that's it. Don't get any more. Even if there's 6 of you, just get one. That's all anybody needs, because a slice of pizza there is like a giant cake. It's delicious, though. It's amazing when it first comes out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. Real Chicago deep dish is the best.
Yes.
It's so, there's nothing like it. It's like, amazing.
So
what happened though? But what happened though after she said, do you want to fuck? Were you just like, no?
But that's why I brought up the pizza thing. Luckily, everybody at that point was like, Brian, come on, let's go. We're going to get pizza. And I was like, I'm sorry, I gotta go.
Also, no.
Yeah, I can't film a movie with you tonight. I gotta go.
Oh my, well, yeah, hey, do you want to come home and make a homemade porn with us?
Yeah.
Sir? Oh.
I'd have been like, I wish I would have said to them, like, hey, maybe if you would have caught me like 5 years ago on a drunk night like this, I probably would have went for it. I'd probably been like, nobody's going to see this, right?
I'll get a copy, right?
Am I getting paid?
Yeah, right. Are you putting this on Pornhub after?
Yeah. Am I going to be an internet star? Like, can I go viral?
Right. This is going to be a Chicago sandwich. That is fucking, like seriously, that does not happen in real life. Oh my, yeah.
That was my time in Chicago. It was a great time. I enjoyed it a lot.
Now we definitely have to go back. That's amazing.
We will
go back to that exact same spot.
If we really do that, if we really go back,
we're going. We are going.
Listen, I'm 100% in. If we do it, I will take you to that bar and I'll show you what that place looked like.
Watch them still be there. Just wait.
Oh my God, that would be great. And they remember me. Hey, you didn't want to do that movie. You want to do it now?
Yeah. You think my girlfriend's hot, right?
I'm good. Nah, I'm good.
Yeah. But that's just so fucking crazy. Like, do you think my wife is hot? Do you think my girlfriend? What?
Yo, there's people out there that do it. There's people out there that are looking for that all the time. It's whatever. To each their own. If that's your thing, go for it. But if that makes them happy as a couple, to like bring someone else in and film a porn, like, so be it.
Yeah, but a fucking random ass guy. No offense, but like, if I was like into that, I would not want some fucking random.
In a way, I honestly have to respect it, because do you understand the balls it takes, like, to ask somebody that?
Oh no, I give him all credit. Hey, if that's what you're into, I mean, again, you're right. If that's what you're into, go for it. But I'm thinking like from a safety standpoint, some fucking random man. No,
But what about?
no.
But what
We'd
about?
have to go on a couple dates first, like all three of us.
Oh, definitely. But what I'm talking about also, what about safety on my end? Because
Well, that too. Because what if they fucking chop you up and just send like bits and pieces back to your wife?
What if they're like, oh, we're gonna tie you up and we're gonna film this, and then they fucking tie me up and they're like, no, we're gonna kill you now.
Yeah, exactly.
Moral of the story: just don't get involved with things like that. You can respect it from a distance. I give them credit for having the balls to try, but at the same time, don't get involved. It's not worth it.
Or the guy gets really angry all of a sudden. It's like, dude, you asked what? I'm not gonna try to understand the like.
It's so funny how we started on St. Patty's Day facts, and this is where we got to.
Yeah, this is where it ended. Wow. Also, again, nothing good ever happens after an Irish car bomb.
What?
Nothing good ever happens. Nothing good ever happens after an Irish car bomb.
No way. Everything good happens after
My friend fell off a fucking deck.
What?
Yes. So she was like, this one summer, she was like super into Irish car bombs. I think it was the summer we all turned like 21 or something.
Well, hold on. What an odd thing to get into. Like,
right.
You know what? I started building model airplanes and I fly them around. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I started making my own pottery. Oh, that's awesome. I got really heavy into doing Irish car bombs.
Yeah, literally. That's like all she would do. And I was just like, that's literally all she. And so then the one time I like really had them that's how my night started. It was my 21st birthday. We're at this bar called Happy's Irish Pub. And this group of dudes were like staring at me and my friends that were like not straight, like those guys are looking at you. And I was like, sounds like someone's going to go get a free drink. Well, to be fair, one of them did. They were like legitimately talking about it because my friend came over. She's like, they're talking about you. And they said some not so appropriate things. And I was like, all right, well, time to put up or shut up. So I was like, hey.
I'm going to go cash in.
Pretty much. I was like, hey, you want to buy me a drink? I don't know what I said. I was just like, I think I just kind of stood next to him and I was like, oh, sorry. But yeah, I was like, hey, you want to do a shot or something? It's my birthday. Something stupid like that. He's like, yeah, okay. And so I was like, what do you want to do? And he's like, oh, Irish car bomb. I was like, fuck it. All right. And from that moment on, my night, I don't fucking remember.
But that's also, hold on. That's also your 21st birthday. So you can't, like, that's what happens on that night. I remember on my 21st birthday, a couple of my friends used to go to Seton Hall. So we had went up there and like they took me out to like a bar that was in the area. It was called Bunnies. And they were like cool with the bartender. So when we walked in, they were like, oh, it's his birthday. It's his 21st. And the guy's like, oh shit. And he lines up like 8 shots of Jack Daniels. And I was like, oh, that's for everybody, right? And he goes, nah, that's for you. And he goes, it's on the house. And I was like, oh my God. Whoop, 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 whoop. Take them all, right? And I was like, it was funny because right before I did them, I'm like, bye-bye. And whoop, 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 take them all. It's actually not as bad as you think. Is once you get past the first one with the burn and you just hit right with the second one and keep going, it doesn't burn anymore.
But see, I had done that. I had been drinking like way before my 24th birthday. Like I did like 8 shots in like 20 minutes once. Oh yeah. And one time my mom overheard me say that and she was like, you did what? And I was like,
you know what's crazy? You know what's crazy? Like, cause I feel like it's like a normal thing for most high school kids to be drinking, like
I did it. I was like
pretty
not
much
cool.
On it. But it's like, I remember coming home and like you remember as like a little kid, like the first time you got drunk, you feel like you were so slick and so smooth. Like, oh, I got into the house. They don't know.
Yeah.
If I had a kid, I would know immediately. I'd be like, I know exactly what you're doing. I'm not going to be like, oh, you're grounded, you're this, you're that. Because then obviously
I'm just going to wake you up really early and hope you're hungover and you fuck your day up.
Yeah, I'm going to be like, you have fun last night, buddy? Bang, bang.
Right. Lights on. Let's go. 6 a.m. Get up.
Yeah. But isn't it crazy though? You thought that you could like sneak past and you're like, oh, I'm good. They have no idea.
Yeah, no, I came home from a New Year's Eve party once, and my mom and I were flying to Hawaii the next day, and I came home like fucking pissed drunk, and I was like, right before you get in the house, you're like, okay, pull it together. You're like, all right, be normal. And my mom's like, I'm like, I was like, Mom, hey, how was your night? Or like, whatever. And then she finally wakes, then it's a couple hours past, she's like, get up. And I was like, it's time to go to the airport. And I was so fucking hungover. And she was like, do you have a rough night she's like, do you have fun last night? And I was like, uh-huh. And I'm like, just trying not to puke in the airport. Like, oh my God, what the fuck?
Yeah,
and
you reek like stale alcohol.
Right. Well, right. Because I hadn't showered either. Yeah, no, it was definitely coming out of my body. Yeah.
Out of your pores everywhere.
Right. And so I told my mom, I was like, I'm going to be honest with you. I drank last night. And she's like, I know. I'm like, you knew? And she's like, yeah, it was pretty obvious when you came home. And I was like, oh.
We're going to have to
wrap this up. We'll have to do that. We'll have to do those stories another time.
Gonna say, we're going to have to do a whole nother episode on just drinking stories in the past. And I'm going to have to get some people on so we can get into these stories, because you will 100% enjoy the stories that we have.
Oh, I think you guys, I have 2 alter egos.
Really?
One is from Australia.
Oh God. Where's the other?
Yeah.
Wait, do you have like an accent and everything?
Yes.
Oh my God. All right.
We're gonna have to save this another time.
You hear it here first. We're going to do a drinking episode, and we're going to find out Ellie's 2 other personalities, because I can't wait to see these.
Yeah. Buddy. Her name is Buddy.
Really?
Buddy Jones.
The Australian one or the Mississippi one?
No, that Lucy Bradshaw's from Australia. Buddy Jones is from Buddy Jones is from Australia. Lucy Bradshaw's from Mississippi.
Oh my God. The fact that you have last names for these people is fantastic.
Because they're not me. Because that is not, when they come out, that is not me.
That is amazing. All right. I think that's a good spot to end this one. Everybody, I hope you have a great St. Patty's Day. I hope everyone enjoys. If you go out somewhere, enjoy yourself. Be safe. Don't spread anything else don't shut everything else down again.
Right. Yeah.
Hopefully,
don't go out so we can go out so we can like have summer. Everyone stay home.
Yeah,
so
I'd rather have summer. Forget St. Patrick's.
Everyone stay home. Yeah, fuck St. Patrick's Day. Everyone stay home and then get your vaccine so we can go back to normal. Thanks.
Yes. And on that note, take us out.